Scruffy, slightly stooped, and silent. The two men looked like characters arriving for a dress rehearsal of Waiting for Godot. Breakfast with Lucian invariably began the same way, with the grand old man of British art and his younger assistant, David Dawson, walking the few doors down from the painter's home in Kensington Church Street in Notting Hill to Clark's restaurant. Lucian often wore a paint-flecked grey cashmere overcoat and black lace-up workman's boots, which gave him a sartorial edginess. The coat was from Issey Miyake, and the unironed white shirt was crumpled, but expensive. Lucian entered Clark's before the curtain went up. He and David would slip through the delicatessen next door to the restaurant via a side passage into the empty dining room. The shop does a brisk trade in almond croissant, pain au chocolat, organic cheeses, quiches, lemon tarts, sausage rolls and breads. But breakfast next door was a privilege that Sally Clark, the eponymous owner of the restaurant, one of Lucian's last sitters, only ever granted to him. In effect, it became Lucian's private salon for himself and his guests. It's a small, upmarket restaurant that has been a fixture in Kensington for more than a quarter of a century. Its customers often remarked that it felt more like going to a dinner party than a restaurant. As for most of that time, Sally Clark offered no menu choice, only what she decided to cook that day. It has relaxed that distinction in recent years to give a choice of 3 or 4 dishes every day. Always what is freshest on the market. It is a discreet and popular venue for the top brass of the BBC and people like Brian Ferry, Salman Rushdie and Dame Maggie Smith. When the Burmese opposition leader, Aung San Suu Kyi, came to the UK in June 2012 after a 24-year exile, it was where she spent her one lunch in London on her 67th birthday. Cashmered English ladies of a certain age enjoy its quiet atmosphere. A card on the table indicates that mobile phones are forbidden. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge are customers. It is situated amongst estate agents and specialist antique shops, and is easily missable. But once through its wood and glass doors, its superiority over almost every other restaurant in the area is evident. Lucian had first started going to the tiny front cafe in Clark's in 1989 with Lee Bowery, the flamboyant Australian performance artist whose pierced cheeks and blonde wig or ball pate made Lucian fade into anonymity beside him. He became a sitter for Lucian and was paid to pose naked. Lucian loved the starch white tablecloths, the pretty girls in their chef's uniforms, the light airy atmosphere and bright arrangement of flowers on the bar counter, the delicious food, and, of course, his friendship with Sally. His shabby chic style and hint of dishevelment masked a man of discernment and taste. Nothing was unplanned. Breakfast at Clark's was precious downtime for him. He had a never-ending work schedule, a round-the-clock regime, or round the cock, as one wag put it, since his libido never appeared to fade. Occasionally, he would mock-grab the thigh of one of the female guests, or the waitresses, or Sally, who would laugh. Somehow he carried off a gesture that might have seemed boorish or ill-judged in others. It was meant playfully, almost comically, and came with affection, originating from an era before political correctness. It was also evidence of a man who grabbed life. There were no rules, certainly not in playfulness. He was the man who got away with everything, but then, as his grandfather Sigmund once said, there is no such thing as a joke. Lucian and David walked to Clark's for breakfast most days, and for almost 10 years on and off, usually on Saturdays. I was part of a small cast of invited friends, although we were kept separate. He juggled past lovers and new ones, art dealers, his children, framers and friends. The range was wide. From a beautiful girl dying of cancer who worked for the Queen to a former heroin addict who'd been in jail, his wine merchant, favourite auctioneer, bookmaker, or painter, Frank Auerbach, his oldest friend. Freud was a great divider. He allowed few of us to see any of the others. The central crossroads in his later life were a painting studio and Clark's. Everyone important to him in his final years met there. Breakfast with Lucian became part of my weekend, although often it was arranged on the spur of the moment. He hated being pinned down, having to see anybody. My visits there had started with Lucian randomly